In a distant time, when gods walked among men and their wills shaped the destinies of civilizations, there was a land both revered and feared, Crete. This island, nestled in the heart of the Aegean Sea, was a true symbol of power. A prosperous kingdom ruled by Minos, a king whose ambition challenged even the heavens. Minos' fame spread like the wind, reaching far lands, making his name respected and feared. Yet behind the opulent palaces and golden courts, a dark secret was hidden, a curse born of pride and betrayal. A story that takes us into the depths of the legendary Labyrinth, where the fates of heroes and monsters entwine in a deadly dance. I'm Josimar, and this is the Spectrum of History. What makes a legend endure through centuries? Is it merely grand feats, or is there something deeper, something that stirs the human essence, our most primal fears and hopes? The story of the Minotaur is not just about the clash between man and beast. It's about the complex web of choices, curses, and fates shaped by unseen hands. A tragedy carved by human arrogance and divine punishment. It all began with a desire. Minos' desire to prove his supremacy in the eyes of Olympus. When Minos ascended to the throne of Crete, he sought to legitimize his power before his subjects and rivals. Claiming to be the god's chosen, Minos prayed to Poseidon, lord of the seas, to send him a divine sign that would affirm his rule. And the god responded, sending a magnificent white bull emerging from the depths of the ocean. The creature radiated an almost celestial beauty, and Minos knew he should sacrifice it in honor of Poseidon, as tradition demanded. Yet blinded by the animal's majesty, Minos gave in to temptation. He betrayed the divine will, preserving the bull for himself and sacrificing one of lesser value. This act of pride set off a chain of tragic events that would define the fate of not just Minos, but all of Crete. Poseidon's wrath was swift and merciless. As revenge for the disobedience, the god cast a terrible curse upon Minos' wife, Pasiphae. She was consumed by an unnatural desire for the white bull, a desire that was not only an individual punishment, but a manifestation of the god's deep disdain for those who dared to defy them. Pasiphae, tormented by this spell, sought to fulfill the terrible will imposed upon her, and from this profane union, an unprecedented creature was born, the Minotaur. With the body of a man and the head of a bull, the beast was the embodiment of monstrosity and sin. The Minotaur's existence was a reminder of Minos' pride, a living scar on the fabric of his family and his kingdom. The birth of this creature was laden with omens. From the beginning, the Minotaur inspired horror and dread in all who dared cross its path. And like any monstrosity that defies the natural order, it soon became an uncontrollable danger. Minos, consumed by shame and the need to maintain his position of power, ordered the construction of a confinement, a prison that matched his fear and the savagery of the Minotaur. For this, he called upon Daedalus, the most brilliant inventor of his time. The result was a true architectural wonder, and at the same time a nightmarish labyrinth. The labyrinth was a colossal structure, built from massive stones that formed endless corridors. Its paths intertwined in spirals that confused even the most experienced explorers. At the heart of this intricate web of stone and shadows, the Minotaur was imprisoned, exiled from the outside world. The labyrinth, however, was not just a physical structure. It was the embodiment of Minos' internal torment, a tangible representation of his guilt and despair. By hiding the creature in the center of this inescapable maze, Minos believed he was burying his sins and the shame of his betrayal. Over time, the Minotaur became more than a beast. It was a feared entity, a terrifying presence that demanded human sacrifices to keep its hunger at bay. Thus, every 9 years, Minos demanded that Athens send 7 young men and 7 young women to be offered as tribute to the Minotaur. These youths were cast into the labyrinth with no hope of return, handed over to the terror that lurked in the shadows of the stone walls. None ever escaped the fate that awaited them. The tragedy of the young sent as sacrifices was twofold. Not only were they doomed to die at the hands of a brutal creature, but also to the agony of wandering through a labyrinth that seemed to stretch endlessly, where the very architecture conspired against them. The labyrinth was a psychological prison as much as a physical one, a place where despair and confusion consumed the minds of its victims before the Minotaur found them. It was in this setting of terror that Theseus, Prince of Athens, emerged as a figure of hope. Determined to end the cycle of sacrifices, Theseus volunteered to be one of the 14 youths sent to Crete. He knew that to defeat the Minotaur, he would need more than physical strength. The true challenge lay in finding the way to the labyrinth center, and more importantly, knowing how to escape after confronting the beast. Upon arriving in Crete, Theseus won the favor of Ariadne, Minos' daughter, who, deeply in love with the Athenian prince, decided to help him in his quest. She gave him a thread, a simple object but one that held the key to his survival. With the thread, Theseus could find his way back if he survived his encounter with the beast. As he walked through the dark corridors of the labyrinth, he could feel the Minotaur's presence growing closer. Each step took him deeper into the heart of the nightmare, where the stone walls seemed to whisper tales of despair and pain. And then at the labyrinth's center, Theseus finally confronted the Minotaur. The creature, now an uncontrollable force of pure rage, charged at the prince with relentless fury. The clash between Theseus and the Minotaur wasn't just a physical fight, it was a battle of fates. The young hero, armed only with his sword and instinct, faced a beast born of human disgrace and divine revenge. The battle was fierce. Theseus used all his agility and intelligence to dodge the Minotaur's brutal attacks, but the creature was relentless. With every blow, the ground of the labyrinth shook, and the walls echoed the sound of the struggle. Finally, in a moment of sheer determination, Theseus managed to deliver the final blow, driving his sword into the creature's heart. The Minotaur's roar reverberated through the labyrinth as it collapsed to the ground, and the silence that followed was deafening. With the Minotaur's body fallen, Theseus, exhausted, grabbed the thread Ariadne had given him and began his journey back through the labyrinth. Each step was a reminder of his victory, but also of the price paid for that triumph. The Minotaur was dead, but the shadow of the labyrinth and Minos' sins would continue to haunt Crete. When Theseus returned to Athens, he was celebrated as a hero. But the tragedy of his journey didn't end with the beast's death. Despite his victory over the Minotaur, Theseus carried a heavy burden in his heart. His glory wasn't just born of bravery, but of the sacrifices made by others. The promise of liberation for Athens had cost the lives of so many before him. The weight of being the only one to survive the labyrinth, of becoming a symbol of hope for a people longing for justice, now hung over him like a shadow that couldn't be lifted by applause or praise. His triumphant return to Athens, however, was marked by a tragic ending, caused not by the wrath of the gods or the claws of monsters, but by a human mistake, a failure that sealed his father, King Aegeus's fate. Before leaving for Crete, Theseus had promised his father that if he returned victorious, he would change the black sails of his ship to white, a signal of his survival. However, in the chaos of the return, in the euphoria of victory, and under the emotional weight he carried, Theseus forgot to fulfill his promise. When King Aegeus saw the ship with its black sails, believing his son had perished in the labyrinth, he was consumed by despair. In an act of devastation, Aegeus threw himself from the top of a cliff, plunging into the waters that would later be known as the Aegean Sea, named in his memory. The tragedy of Theseus' story reminds us that no matter how grand heroic deeds may be, they are never free of loss. The death of the Minotaur may have ended the cycle of sacrifices, but it couldn't erase the scars left by that cruel ritual. Theseus' victory, while a testament to his bravery and cunning, also brought a chain of events that led to more pain and sorrow. He, the hero who killed the beast, became the protagonist of a family tragedy, proving that glory and misfortune often walk hand in hand. The legend of the Minotaur and the Labyrinth has transcended time, becoming more than just a tale of monsters and heroes. It represents the human struggle against our own demons, against the curses and mistakes we inherit or create throughout our lives. The Minotaur, though a physical beast, symbolizes the forces that imprison us, whether they be external or internal. It is the product of pride, betrayal, and revenge, elements that shape not only the gods of mythology, but human nature itself. The labyrinth, in turn, is a powerful metaphor. Its intricate pathways, with no clear beginning or end, represent the inescapable dilemmas and challenges of life. At some point, we all find ourselves lost in our own labyrinths, facing monsters that seem unbeatable. Theseus' journey, then, is a universal one. The fight to overcome the forces that surround and suffocate us, whether to find truth, redemption, or simply freedom. And so, the legend of Crete lives on, echoing through the corridors of time as an immortal lesson about the cost of arrogance, the fury of the gods, and the consequences of our actions. In the end, it's not just the beast that haunts the labyrinth, but the secrets and sins that hide within it. And in every hero who faces these challenges, there is the promise that no matter how difficult the journey, the truth will always find its way to the light. And so, we come to the end of this story, one as old as time itself, but one that still echoes to this day. The Minotaur, the Labyrinth, and the hero who defied death continue to captivate us, not just as legends of ancient Greece, but as metaphors that speak directly to the human soul. Through the generations, these stories remind us of our own challenges, of the internal battles we fight, and of the choices we make throughout our lives. But in the end, it's not just about monsters and heroes. It's about what these stories represent. The labyrinth is life, with its uncertain paths and surprises lurking around every corner. The Minotaur is the fears and forces we try to overcome. And Theseus, he is each of us fighting for freedom, facing our own challenges in the quest for redemption. Thank you for watching. If this story made you reflect, if it made you think of your own labyrinths and minotaurs, then it has served its purpose. Don't forget to leave a like and share this video. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more stories that transcend time, bringing to light the mysteries of both the past and our present. Until the next adventure.